So I'm still kind of riding the high of Jumpstart. And one of the things that I wrote down at the workshop was the word discovery. And the number of occasions that I heard people use discovery call as part of their sales process, part of their funnel development process, was very gratifying. This is a very important step. It's a very important piece of the evolution of the sales process. But I also found there are a number of people who are using discovery calls, maybe in the wrong context, maybe improperly, maybe at the wrong time. I think we need to unpack this and better understand what the discovery call is, how it's supposed to work, and how you can help your customer just a little bit better.
Welcome to your weekly dose of uncommon sense, helpful insights, and tough love. I'm your host, Tom Stimson. The Intentional Success Podcast comes to you through the generous support of Mertz Crew.
Mertz Crew helps top AV companies book quality AV freelancers. Your choice, your rates. We handle contracts, insurance, and payments. You save time, cost, and reduce risk. Start today at mertzcrew.com.
Now on to the show.
So think about your sales funnel, okay? I know you can picture it. I talk about it all the time. You know, you've got the sales funnel. It's big at the top. It's little at the bottom. You've got leads. You have prospects. You have opportunities. You have sold business. And then it goes back into the top of the funnel again, right? Somewhere in there are also clients. So once you convert an opportunity, sometimes you have a client, sometimes you have a customer. A customer goes through the project and goes back into the top of the funnel. A client stays in the funnel as a client. They may have multiple projects. They immediately go back to client phase because a client will always call you first. So thinking about your funnel is really, really important. Now, discovery calls are what many folks use to help the customer or ask the customer questions about their project. And I want to talk about discovery calls as a tool that happens sooner in our relationship development process. So inquiries lead to qualification. So an inquiry could be somebody you don't know. They're not even in your lead bucket. They make an inquiry, they're now in your lead bucket. And the inquiry, maybe they asked a question, they subscribe to your newsletter, they followed you on Instagram or whatever it is, but now they're in your lead bucket. Now, you still need another level of engagement because leads are generally unqualified. Now, your marketing can improve the quality of your leads. You can find that more of the right people follow you if your marketing is tuned to the right audience. But eventually that lead is going to engage further. They're going to find a reason to have a conversation with you. It's typically they who are going to reach out because mostly our business development does not reach down into leads. They reach down into prospects. Our marketing can reach down into leads and help move them into the prospect category. But at the end of the day, it's the lead that decides whether or not to have a conversation with you. And when they do have a conversation, that first conversation is not discovery. That first conversation is a mutual qualification. Hi, who are you? What do you do? I don't know. Who are you? What do you do? You have a conversation. You figure it out. A qualified lead becomes a prospect. An unqualified lead remains a lead. They might be a prospect in the future. Your business model can change. Their needs could change. But the fact of the matter is they may refer you to someone else. So we keep them in our leads. We continue to market to them. We treat them as a potential evangelist or a referral, even if we didn't do business with them. And that's what marketing does. You don't have to worry about them anymore because they're in the lead bucket. Now, if you get through that initial inquiry call and they are a good prospect, well, chances are they don't necessarily have a project at this time. Okay. Your next step is a discovery call. Whoa, Tom, what are you talking about? They don't have a project. What am I going to discover? Listen to me. If they do have a project, your next step is also a discovery call. They're two different calls. Gaining a prospect, which means that your marketing is work, your brand gravity is doing its job. And if we leave a prospect as a prospect and we don't engage them with some level of discovery, we'll never get them down into the opportunity world. So you need to take every prospect and suggest, why don't we have a discovery call? And here's what we can do. Okay. Discovery for prospects informs the next step. Now, very often the next step will be a pitch, and I'll get to that. Your pitch will be informed by the discovery, right? Pitches help the buyer determine if you are a viable solution when they actually have a project. But right now, we want to pre-qualify our prospect, and they need to pre-qualify you as somebody, as two companies who will do business together when there is indeed business to be done. We don't want to wait for the business needing to be done to finish this process. We want to create the sense of urgency that I can't wait till I have a project because I want to work with these people. Now, in this discovery call with a prospect, this is really learning about what their needs are, having them better understand what things that you do and seeing where the connections are. Okay? You might be mismatched. They may be looking for a full service company, and basically you're a company that responds to RFPs and you need educated buyers and they aren't one. Great. You're going to refer them to somebody that's going to make them a better buyer, an intermediary, a producer, a technical director, or something else, so that they can bring something to you to execute. But very often there is a good match. Now, if there's a mismatch, we're not going to move on to the pitch. We're going to enjoy our discovery experience. We're going to explain to them why they're not a good fit, why we aren't a good fit for you right now, rather than they aren't a good fit for you. You tell them that you're not a good fit for them. And then you explain why. And so here's why. Here's what we're looking for. Here's the companies that we help. And they may all of a sudden lean in and go, well, I didn't realize that. That's actually sounds more like what I want. Great. You just won. Get into the pitch. Okay. But you get to finish the discovery call. In a discovery call like this, you generally have one opportunity to reframe their needs or approach to fit what you do. And if they have that aha moment that says, yeah, if I thought about my needs differently, you guys might be a great fit. Awesome. Let's learn more about those needs so that we can go off and develop our pitch, schedule our pitch, assemble the right team, and do the pitch. There's no failure here, right? This is not win or lose. We're looking for a good fit. If we find a bad fit and dismiss it, we won. If we find a good fit and we move it forward properly, we won. So either you retain an ideal prospect, which could lead to future work, or you both get to move on and make better use of your time and leave part as friends, as we say, right? So prospects become opportunities, and that's when the real work is on the table. So I can take a prospect and set them up for future engagements through a discovery call followed by a pitch. So a good discovery call will tell me what the pitch is, how I need to present my services, what case studies or we should share with them, what solutions are going to meet their needs. And I don't have to talk about the other stuff. I talk about the stuff that's going to matter to them, and that's what a good pitch does. It helps them see themselves doing business with you. They don't need to see how you do business with other people unless those other people look like them, right? So you're not going to get them to do business with you differently in a pitch unless that's what they invited you to do in the discovery call. Now, let's talk about the other type of discovery call that you're much more familiar with, and that is the discovery call that comes out of an opportunity. The prospect comes to you, whether they're a recurring customer, a referral, and they hit you with an RFP. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to have a discovery call, right? What's that discovery call to do? Well, it's not to unpack the RFP. Sorry, we're not there yet. Solutions, when you have a discovery call with somebody who brings you an opportunity, we still have to have that conversation of tell us more about the opportunity, what it means to you, what are you trying to accomplish, what is your process? Remember my basic questions. Tell me what your buying process is, tell me what your decision criteria is, tell me what your timeline is, and tell me what your priorities are. And if you can't share those things with me, why would I continue to talk to you? Because these are fundamental, right? It's not like I asked you for your social security number and your wife's middle name. Just give me this basic courtesy of help me understand what we can do with this conversation. And sometimes the answer is, well, we don't have a plan. We don't have this. We don't have this. Great. we can continue to have the conversation to see if there's an opportunity to help them develop that. That might be a future call and a future solution, but the discovery call here is to understand what they're trying to accomplish. Now, you will need another discovery call to unpack the RFP. And if you go straight into unpacking the RFP, that is the most transactional thing you can do. It might meet the needs of the customer. It might even meet your needs, but rarely is it going to get you into an ideal situation. So I always say slow the process down, have short meetings, have more of them. So once their needs are clear from that call, then you might schedule the next call, which would be, we're going to offer some solutions. We've looked at your RFP. We understand what you're trying to accomplish. Here's what we're going to recommend. Here's where it deviates from your RFP. Here's where it's exactly like your RFP. Here's what's missing from your RFP. Here's what you don't need, right? And then I'm going to say, maybe here's 3 approaches. And, I like that approach. Then I need to have 3 more sub-approaches to them to help dial in their needs. I want to narrow down what goes into my proposal, but probably I'm going to rewrite their RFP first to make sure that I am writing the right proposal, right? Now, sometimes that discovery call solutions aren't the right need. Ideation might be. Maybe what they need is a creative approach. They need a higher level view looking down on their job. An ideation will lead to creative design. It will lead to a project pitch, which is what you're all trying to get. Ideation is an investment by both parties to say, what can we do to make this the event the best possible thing it can be? And we share ideas, and then we come back with, here's our solutions, here's our project pitch. So solutions may come first, but you might need ideation first. And the third thing that may come out of this discovery call for a known project is reframing. A little bit of reframing on the way is normal. We certainly can reframe in that initial discussion. We can reframe in solutions or ideation, but sometimes we need to reframe on the next call exclusively. Help the buyer reframe their needs. We put the team together. We're gonna make recommendations on your ask. We're gonna help you ask for better help, right? Rewrite their ask in achievable terms, and then you connect the outcomes that they're seeking, the outcomes that you learned about in discovery, to this reframing. Reframing is hugely important, particularly if you're dealing with a customer that you're trying to get to fit into what you do, right? Here's how you can work with us. Here's how our best customers work with us. And you reframe their project in their terms. Clients, on the other hand, we're going to have a broader approach, and our reframing might be, you're looking at us much too narrowly. Here's what we actually do. Here's how to use us correctly. And now this reframing might lead us to an ideation call or a solution call that comes next. So even on small projects, these short, effective steps will get you to a better buy. And if they aren't willing to engage in this, don't worry about it. They weren't going to buy from you anyway. Now, let's talk about who handles these calls. And I'm calling them calls generically because they could be Zoom calls, they could be meetings. I hope they're not going to be a phone call. When we are moving a lead into a prospect and we want to make them a permanent prospect, in other words, they don't have a piece of work yet, but we want to be the next company they call when they do have a piece of work, then the discovery call with your lead who has made an inquiry, right? Thereby, they are thinking about becoming a prospect. This call is simply the effort to further qualify the prospect and understand their needs. Your pitch comes later, okay? Therefore, this first discovery call can often be handled by business development or a strategic salesperson to understand their needs, see if we're a good fit, and set up the next call, okay? That's a very short discovery call. It's a great qualification call, but it's an important part of the process. Now, the most likely outcome of a lead inquiry is rejection. Okay, just don't forget about that. But if your marketing, your brand, and your outreach are on target, then your leads will be better aligned to what you do, which means you will have lower rejection. So there's 2 results from a lead inquiry: thanks and move on, or to schedule the next discovery call. Now, Remember, you don't need a project to initiate discovery. Discovery is about what the working relationship will be when you have a project. So while biz dev or sales might run the inquiry, discovery for prospects, when they do have a project, requires business development, executive producer, and or sales. You need a bigger team. And the purpose of that discovery call is to design your pitch. We have a project. We'd like to present it to you. We want to hear what you need. We're going to ask questions. My team is going to take it. Your team's going to take that and say, great, we're going to come back to you. Let's schedule the pitch call. We're going to come back and pitch what we do for companies like you in this situation. So that ensuing pitch to a prospect is about alignment. How do we take their needs and what we do and put them together? This is not about unpacking a project, talking about how many cameras you need. No. You need to explain and share what you do for customers like these fine folks. And the discovery call tells you which pitch you need and what needs to go in it. And if you're successful, this prospect after the pitch is still a prospect, but now they're a permanent prospect. And your energy moves into cultivating an opportunity with that prospect. Now, the lift on this is very light. This is marketing and business development territory. In most client-focused companies, we keep those touches. We create opportunities for engagement. We invite them to open houses, all those things that we do so that when they do have a project, you are top of mind and you've already figured out that you will work well together. Now, for customer-focused phase, remember, clients are people who come to you all the time for whatever they need. Customers bring you one project at a time. And customer-focused project-based businesses, if that is you can use a combination of marketing drip and an account manager reaching out to nurture a prospect into the next opportunity. It's just dropping a note in there. It's sharing a tool. It's making sure that your marketing is touching them regularly. It's probably a lower level engagement than you would pursue for a potential client. Now, finally, I'm going to talk about the discovery that we all know and love, which is project discovery. This is also a two-step process. Okay. Once there's an opportunity or a project to discuss, we gather the best minds in your company to meet with the buyer. Now, biz dev at this point can step away because the project's there, right? They've done their job. They've got you aligned. They can be working on your next opportunities. Your top account executive, your creative producer, your designer, your planning representative are all appropriate players here. This does not need to be the team that will work on the project, and I cannot say that loudly enough. For those of you who think that if anybody comes to this discovery call, this is automatically the project manager, this is automatically the salesperson, this is automatically the lead technician, you are missing the point, okay? You are not going to be successful. This is the team that will ensure that your project pitch, when you come back with a project solution, is on target, okay? Now, they may love those people. What they have to love is their advice. The advice and recommendations of your expert team is what we're selling here. The people that will do the work are going to do it under the auspices of your experts. That's what the customer has to be comfortable with. So again, we do the discovery on the project to design the pitch, which is our solution for a project. And we haven't even gotten to the proposal yet, okay? But if you're trying to develop long-term business, recurring prospects that become opportunities, or permanent clients, okay, you've got to understand the different types of project and interrelationship discovery meetings that you need to have. It's all about process. It's all about moving things in the smallest steps you can for the maximum return. So discovery is your most powerful tool in developing ideal prospects into ideal opportunities, which leads to ideal clients. Thanks for listening.
If you liked this episode of the Intentional Success Podcast, please leave a review and don't forget to like and subscribe. This podcast has been brought to you by the helpful folks at Mertz Crew.